Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Getting Back to Zero Thursday night edition. I know everyone is ready for the big Bearcats Alabama game tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern time. It's going to be my alma mater has got a tough road ahead of them, but it's going to be a fun afternoon. So we are. This is the New Year's kickoff, one of the first that we're doing. And I've got a couple of guests that have much more motivation than I do, but I'm hoping some of this will wear off on me, which would be great. But the New Year's coming up, and we're going to post some stuff on the site about goals. I am the king of New Year's resolutions lasting until about noon, until I break them, or I use the word that I'm learning. One of my 4-letter words actually has a lot more letters in it than 4. But for me, a word that can mean good things, but for me, I abused it, and was the word tomorrow. Everything I'm going to do, whether it's from my sobriety to getting in shape to starting a new anything that would possibly better me, but maybe take a little bit of an effort. I'll do that tomorrow. You know, it's late. It's too late to start. We'll start that tomorrow. And I actually meant it is the sad part. But for me, tomorrow rarely, if ever came. So we're going to, I'm sick of failing miserably on these things. And I've got some guests that have some tools that I think are going to be going to help me out, hopefully. And we're going to be bringing in some programs to start the year, whether it's exercise, which we're kind of touching on tonight, yoga. We've got someone for nutrition. Terry Patterson's going to be in to talk about that. Ketsia might bring in her writing program, but we're going to kind of talk things off on exercise. And the guest tonight, just to get things started, I've got Amber from Recovery Roadrunners. How you doing, Amber? Good to see you.
Hey, Jeff. I'm great. Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
No, it's always great to have you. And then we brought one of Caren, who I have. You're from Wyoming? Wait, you told me. Where are you from?
Yeah, Casper, Wyoming.
Okay, so she actually has from what I know, we'll hear a little of her story, but met Amber through Recovery Roadrunners, and we're going to talk tonight about exercise. And you've got a program through Recovery Roadrunners, but it's a program that doesn't just necessarily apply to running or exercise. It can apply to a lot of things. So I wanted the principles, but obviously what's worked for you and your path is through running and exercise. So I want to focus on that, but I think a lot of these principles can grow across the board. But I'm going to start off with you, Amber, of how this program started, how you came up with it. But keep in mind when you're telling it that you're talking to the king of someone that needs it. I am the king of, I can plan better than anyone. If planning was a sport or a skill, I'm the master of it. I can plan. It's the follow-up that I really struggle with. But my plans for what I'm going to do tomorrow are huge and grandiose. And then tomorrow comes and I didn't mean today, I meant tomorrow, and I'll start that. And then it's September, and I'm looking at my January 1 pair of sneakers that have yet to even get that paper pulled out of the toe compartment to put on, and going, what happened? So I want to know. There's a lot of us out there that struggle with that, and not everyone is crazy like you and probably Caren that likes to get up and run 38 miles and then figure out what they're going to do for the day. Some of us don't have that motivation, but we need it. And that's the key. So tell us a little bit about your program and how did it come about, and why are you finding success with it? Caren, I know you are kind of living it, so I want to hear from you of why it works for you as well, and what tips and tricks we can do to apply it to ourselves. So with that, Amber.
Well, Recovery Roadrunners was just born this year, you guys. It's a brand new group that I started in January 2021. And the reason I started it was because I was newly sober and I was the only sober person that I knew. And I was wondering, where's all the other sober people at? I need some new sober friends, some people to talk to. So I was looking for a sober community and I found a couple different ones on Facebook, but something was still missing. So then I thought to myself, I bet you there's some sober runners out there. I'm going to find them. So I started Recovery Roadrunners, and it started with like 3 of my friends who I begged to join my group. And for a couple months, there was just like 5 or 10 of us. And then it started to grow and grow and grow. And now, almost a year later, there's 650 members in our group. And it's such a supportive, amazing community. I mean, there's no competition, you guys. It's just pure inspiration and motivation. So people
what is the basis of it? I mean, how has that helped you? I assume the answer is accountability, but
yeah,
how is that?
basically there's no requirements to join this group other than you need to be sober or trying to get sober, and you need to want to live a healthy life. You don't have to run, you can walk or hike or bike. It's not just for runners, although that's what the name is. It's for everybody, so yeah, I lost my train of thought. Come on, focus, Amber.
Well, the
too much alcohol, I think.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. The key though that I see is, and I call it I call it the Planet Fitness principle, where and this applies to alcohol or sobriety as much as this does about exercise. If I set the alarm for tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock, I'm going to get up and I'm going to drive into Planet Fitness. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to work out here. I'm going to do that. Chances are the alarm's going to go off tomorrow because I know me, and the alarm's going to go off and I'm going to say, no, not today. I don't know why, but I'm way too tired. I'll do it tomorrow. Famous last words. And I'll fail. If if Caren called and said, hey, let's meet at the gym tomorrow at 6, work out together. When the alarm goes off, I'm going to say, son of a bitch, why did I agree to this? I don't want to do it, but I know Karen's going to be calling me going, where are you? Counting on me, sitting down there going, and it's going to drag my butt out of bed. So I will. And as soon as we're done working out, I'm going to be so happy that I did it. But without that accountability, I'd fail. And that is the me versus we of recovery or sobriety. I'm not a good motivator of myself.
And I'm so glad that you mentioned that. I just ran a marathon earlier in December 5th, the Sacramento Marathon. And if I had not had an accountability partner, I would not have probably done all my long runs. So I had my buddy Andrew, who's in RRR. He lives in Seattle, and he signed up for the race with me. So instantly, I was like 1,000 times more motivated. So, we called each other when we were running our long runs, and we're talking about our training program, and we're super motivated because we were in it together, and it made it so much more fun. And I did not skip one long run. We weren't competing against each other, but we were doing it together, and it was so fun. So accountability is key. And that's what we are in the group. And Caren posts all the time. That's why I asked her to join us, because she posts, her workout selfies, and she'll share a story with it. But she's hilarious. She just has a way with words, and she's a very humorous person, just a likable gal. So that's why I brought her on here, because she's awesome. And there's just so many new friends in the group that I've made who I can call them and, say it's been a shit day, and they'll listen, and all of these people are living across the country or across the world even. I never would have met them had it not been for this group. And now these people are some of my closest friends. We have everything in common.
Caren, I'll throw this at you because I'll throw you right to the wolves. But with this being a virtual group, I've lied my whole life. So, and that's what's tough also, or tougher about sobriety, because I can tell you tomorrow morning that I didn't drink, well, you're not here to know whether I'm telling you the truth or not. Running, I could tell you that I just went out and ran, 6 miles and completely lying to you. So how does the accountability work for you? Or is it just, how much of it is total self-discipline?
I think one thing that, just kind of a side note, one thing that's made a huge difference within that group is I feel safe to be transparent and accepted. And so that's one thing that I've really valued in regards to the group. In terms of discipline, so I post what I do. I don't post everything that I do because I'm not disciplined in continuously checking in that way, I guess you could say. But I just choose. I choose every day, whether I feel like doing it, because feelings lie. I don't always want to do it. I don't always feel motivated. But I choose to do it because I know that I need to. And so at that point, I just kind of I pick my hard. Either I'm going to have the heart of getting up out of bed and doing the thing, knowing that I'm going to feel better afterwards, or I'm going to pick the heart of reasoning it through, procrastinating, and then eventually not doing it and then beating myself up later.
What one of the and I need to, I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared for you, Amber. There you go. Feel like I'm more of the group now. But
awesome.
Just like with sobriety, if we work out right now, as soon as we're done, I'm gonna dread the workout. Amber, can you tell them please no interruptions? Okay, we're trying to concentrate here. When I'm gonna do the workout, hey buddy, how you doing? When I do the workout, I'm going to dread starting. As soon as it's over, though, I'm going to be so glad I did it, and I'm going to walk out like I do every time. I go, that was great. I love this. I feel better than I've ever felt. The problem is, and this is just like sobriety, tomorrow morning, all I'm going to remember is, oh, God, I don't want to do this. I forget how good I felt from doing it. That's a killer for me, because I'll finish and say, okay, I did it. I didn't drink today, or I worked out. I feel so good. This is the greatest. And tomorrow morning, the memory of the good is harder to recall. But what is right there was this recovery crap sucks. This running sucks. I don't want to do this. And that's where I get into trouble. So if we can, and there's so much into this, if we can tap into that, then I got a fighting chance. And the other thing, and I need to shut up and let you two both talk. But if my goals, January 1, okay, I'm going to run 10 miles every day. I'm going to eat kale for breakfast. I'm going to read 2 books. I'm going to I'm going to stretch for an hour and a half and do whatever. And then I'm going to go, okay, I won't do it. It's too much. I as always, my goals are much higher so I set myself up to fail. And maybe the same thing is in sobriety. I don't know. Our goals, I've talked to people that I got to quit drinking. I got to mend my marriage. I got to get my kids back. My job, I'm about to lose it. I've got to fix this, and this. And after a couple days, it's like, well, she still won't talk to me. The kids are pissed, and the boss is. So screw it. It's too much to take on. So with that, how do I not overload myself and set my goals too high? How do I maintain it? How do I remember?
Okay, so there's a couple things I want to say to answer this. First, it's a good segue to introduce our group challenges. One of the best things about Triple R is that we have these virtual challenges. And we just finished the Santa run. And before that, we had the turkey trot. And before that, we had the Halloween run. And before that, we had something else. So I like to plan these virtual races around the holidays to keep everybody going, to keep everybody inspired, give you something to look forward to. So people will sign up for these virtual challenges, and then we're messaging each other throughout the day. And I'll wake up, because I'm on the Pacific Coast and most of my friends are on the East Coast or whatever. So I wake up and I've already seen, like, I've missed 10 messages. All of my Triple R friends have already finished their run. They're talking about how great they're feeling. They're posting their inspiration for me to see. And I wake up and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, they already did it. Now it's my turn.
Right.
So, I mean, the group aspect of it is so helpful and just inspiring. And that's what gets you going.
That's
what gets you going, because you make friends with these people and you don't want to be like, well, everybody else is running and I'm not doing shit, you know? Like, I mean, like I said, we're not competing, but it's so inspiring that once you see 2 or 3 people with their running selfies, it's like, okay, I'm going out the door, and you're just ready to go. You're not in it alone anymore. And it's not just about the running. You know, people will talk about sobriety. You know, we just had Christmas and we're going to have New Year's coming up, and people are talking about, you know, Christmas parties being so hard. And some people will say, like, you know, I drank on Christmas Eve and now, you know, I'm really beating myself up. And then people will jump in, not with criticism, but with compassion, and say, you know what? Don't quit. We've all been there. It's just part of the process. Relapse is part of the process. It's not like you just decide to quit drinking one day and you never drink again. I mean, it took me a good 3 years of trying. I used to write down the days that I was sober on my wrist to keep me inspired. And I would write it in Sharpie, and I would love to watch that number grow. And I mean, eventually it got up to over 150, and then I stopped counting the days. But I mean, that's what worked for me. And
lead poisoning and you passed out. It's from all the ink.
Yeah. I never said I was the smartest person, Jeff.
You know what? I just wrote this down. Excuse me. I just wrote this down, and Caren, I'll let you address this, but negative versus positive. And what I wrote down was peer pressure versus peer encouragement. And what you just said, Amber, about you're waking up and everyone's saying, hey, I already did my run. And it's not, it's a, you can do it too mentality, I guess, versus, well, I did it. What's your problem? You know, it's a peer pressure almost can have a negative connotation versus a peer encouragement. And that's something I can't give myself. Caren, your thoughts?
Yeah, when I hear pressure, immediately I connect judgment, peer judgment, you know, and I think that it's important that, you know, we not just extend grace to ourselves, but to other people on their journeys as well. And I think that that's where the encouragement part comes in, is just the acceptance of a person's humanity, and, you know, acknowledging that we are all on a similar journey in terms of our sobriety and the desire to handle it in a healthy way, you know, running, walking, all of that. And so encouraging is a huge part, you know, so it gets to be kind of a sucky when you do have those people that are, well, I'm able to, why aren't you? We all operate differently. You know, help people where they're at, not where you think they should be.
You know, because peer encouragement, I'm pretty lousy at giving that to myself. And I think that's probably, so Amber, where does self-reward, how does that fit into you? Because I've always been a materialistic, spoiled little brat, and someone says, oh, you'll feel better about yourself. No, that's no good. I want something that comes with a receipt, you know, and I can't buy myself a new whatever for doing it. But is that just the reward? Does that come with the group, or is that just something you naturally are able to give yourself?
Man, for me, the first thing that popped into my head was that Strava photo that you can share with the group, because you pick a picture and then at the bottom it says how many miles you ran. Like today I ran 4 miles at like 8:25 pace or something. So you can share your stats with the group, and it's just kind of a cute little picture to share. And I don't know, it's kind of like a cookie, right? Like a badge that you earn for yourself. And I was thinking about the peer pressure thing, and there's people in the group that consistently run like 22 miles every weekend. There's others that run like 1.5 miles. Somebody will jump in with like 16 miles, and then somebody else with like 2.5. And I mean, I'm talking all ranges of speeds too. We're talking like 6-minute miles to 10-minute miles to 15-minute miles. No matter what somebody posts, if it's 2 miles or if it's 32 miles, everybody likes that picture, comments, great job, you're doing awesome. There's never any criticism or, oh, you only did a mile. Oh, you only did 2 miles. There's never any judgment or criticism. It's always just positive feedback and love from the group. I just don't know. I mean, it's like brothers and sisters and best friends. I don't know one single person in the group that has ever given me a bad feeling or knocked me for one of my runs. You know what I mean? And nobody has ever said like, oh, well, I run faster than you, or I can run a faster marathon than you. It's not like that. We're just so happy to be together and to share this running sober thing with each other, and it's just great. I just love this group.
With your program. When I say, you know what, I'm going to do this, and tomorrow morning I'm going to get out, I'm going to try and run 6 miles. As the leader of this, hopefully you're rolling your eyes and saying, well, that ain't going to happen. I can tell just looking at you, big boy. But what is your advice? Because you're taking this on kind of as the leader of this. How do you get someone like me not to say, oh, well, that didn't quite work out as well as I thought. I made it, and I'm now quitting.
First of all, Jeff, let me just start out by saying I'm a 2nd grade teacher. I'm not a professional runner. I'm not a professional coach. So let's just say I'm just a recreational runner. I've just been doing it for a really long time. And as the teacher in me, I feel comfortable teaching people and coaching people. So that's why I'm in this role. But to answer your question, I would say, no, do not start with 6 miles. Start with 1 mile and walk half of it. I always tell people about the Jeff Galloway run, walk, run method. So if you're just starting out and you want to maybe run a 5K, so you're going to run for 30 seconds and walk for 3 minutes, and then run for 30 seconds and walk for 3 minutes. And you're going to do mostly walking. If you haven't run in years and years, you're going to mostly start with walking, and that's totally fine. If you keep going 3 times a week with walking and a little bit of running, you're going to see your endurance building naturally, and you're going to start feeling fitter, and you're going to inspire yourself. You're going to inspire the heck out of yourself with just a little bit of mileage consistently every week, and with, everybody else sharing in the group. So start slow, because you don't want any injuries in the beginning. That's the worst thing you can do. So I tell people, don't be scared to walk. I walk in half marathons and marathons, and I'm not ashamed of that. If you're tired, walk, and schedule the run, walk, run thing. That's my philosophy. But like I said, I'm just a recreational runner.
Caren,
There's a lot of people in the group who are way faster than me.
Caren, have you been a runner? Were you a runner before this?
I wasn't. A little bit of a backstory. So in the midst of my battle with alcohol, I actually dealt with some health problems. I was dealing with some clotting issues in my leg, and actually had a DVT in my left one that I was treated for, and was forced into thigh-high compression socks. and blood thinners. And so at that point, I decided that I needed to do something differently. And so at the beginning of the pandemic, my son and I started working out together for PE. And so that was where I kind of got started on the whole fitness journey. And it wasn't until almost a year later that I quit drinking. And mind you, I was about 30 pounds heavier than what I am now, even though I was consistently working out because of my alcohol intake. And so when I started running, when I stopped drinking, I kind of just gave myself a break. I did my workouts, but I just kind of took it easy and listened to my body, because I recognized that I was repairing myself and healing from all the drinking that I had done over the years. And then when I felt like I was ready to, I decided to take on the challenge of running. And so I started running, I want to say at the end of April of this year. So I haven't been running for very long. And I tell you, like, I didn't ever see the day that I would run. I was telling you earlier that I just kind of joked around about it because there was that meme on Facebook that said, "What's run backwards? Ner, like ner thanks." And I still kind of chuckle about that because that was my mentality. And not saying that I didn't ever want to run. I mean, I bought running shoes probably 10 years ago thinking that I was going to be like the Pocahontas of the neighborhood and, run and skip and frolic over pavement. And that was far from what ended up happening. And
might have grass stains from mowing the lawn in them. That's about,
It was rough. And so I haven't always been a runner, but I really appreciated what Amber was saying and taking it slow because I had to. But I set a goal for myself, and it was, I'm going to run my first 5K. So 2 months after I started running, I gave myself 2 months to build up to 3.1 miles. And so I had to continuously, to motivate myself, put the next race on the docks, so it's okay. I'm going to train for this race. Okay. Now I'm going to train for this one and keep working at it. I didn't perfect it in a week or two. It's something that I've had to work at over the course of the last several months.
Did you, one of the things, and this scares me to death about my sobriety, because if I quit a running program, chances are I'll still keep my family, my job, whatever. I quit my sobriety program, really bad things, but regardless, I worry about stagnation, of getting not complacent, but maybe bored in it, of routine. And I ask it with the running because with your program, because I those are important, but avoiding stagnation and sobriety is not just important, it's life or death for me. So do you deal with that? What have you found any tools that work for that?
For myself personally, community has been a huge part. I am more likely to keep something up and to keep going so long as I'm not in it alone. And Recovery Roadrunners has been a huge part of that. That has been a huge part of my motivation in continuing running and challenging myself, because there are a lot of amazing runners in there. And I have to work really hard at my thought process. I do not allow myself the option to stop. And there are times when I'm like, man, I'm just really tired of doing this. And then I have to take that thought captive, because yes, I might be tired, but that's not going to help me, So it's, let's focus on, what am I getting out of this? Why do I keep going? What is it that I want to achieve in the midst of that? And so I'm continuously having to take those negative thoughts captive, because they sometimes pour, and find those thoughts to counteract. So then that way I can continue to be motivated. And I talk to other people about it. That's another thing that's helpful, and saying, hey, I'm really struggling. Like, I don't want to run. I don't want to do this. I think I want to take a break. Can we talk this through and get a plan? And so those things have really made a huge difference. I hope that answers your question.
No, it does. Amber, back with you, the Recovery Roadrunner, I know you're up at like 600 and some people. Is everyone in the group in recovery of some level?
Yes, everyone.
That's unbelievable.
I asked them a couple questions before letting them in. Are you sober, or do you want to get sober? Do you run, walk, or exercise, or do you want to start a new training program, and do you agree to the group rules? So if they ignore it or whatever, I'll just kick them out, and hopefully they'll come back and answer the questions. But yeah, everyone is sober. That's what makes it such a safe community and different from all the other running groups out there. And before I started this group, I was looking for other sober running groups, and I had a hard time finding them, especially local ones, but even on Facebook. I know there's one in Europe, but that wasn't really going to work for me being in California. So I just started my own group, and here we are. And it's just growing. I love it. Some of the coolest people in this group just message me randomly with, just cool ideas. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, here's my number. Call me or text me.
I know you have the New Year's challenge that I want to get into, but within just Recovery Roadrunners, how is obviously what is the organization, or how does the recovery? Is there anything planned, schedules? Do you have any regular meetings? Do you talk topics recovery, or is it just happen to be that everyone that's in there talking about running happens to be in recovery? Do you focus on the recovery side, or is it just one and the same?
Well, things have been kind of fluid this year with me trying out new different things. So I tried the weekly meeting, and sometimes it would just be, it was usually just me and Elena. Hi, Elena. And then we're like, where's all the people? So the weekly meetings did not really take off. And I think it's just, a scheduling thing. So we tried it, and then they stopped and tried it again. So then most recently what I've been doing is, if you join the training group for like $25, weekly Zoom calls. And the last challenge that we did, I did a Wednesday night call and a Sunday night call. So they could have a chance to at least be at one. And then with, the daily check-ins and the motivations. And then I called them on the phone to, talk to them and see how their week's going. But with this New Year's Eve challenge, or New Year's challenge, now this one is the biggest and the best that I've ever created. And I'm really excited for this because I've added an additional piece. So
let's hear
it. Okay. Well, the New Year's challenge starts on New Year's Day. So sign up now, people. And it's an 8-week, 3-part challenge. So the first part is you're going to stay sober, and we're going to help you do it. The second part is you're going to get in shape however you want to do it. Do you want to sign up for a marathon? Do you want to train for a triathlon? Do you want to run your first 5K? Do you want to commit to just walking around the block every day? It does not matter. It's your physical challenge. You're in charge of it. You create it, and we'll support you. But you're going to tell us what it is so that we can hold you accountable. And this last piece, this third piece I just thought of, and I think it's going to really accelerate the group. And I'm hoping to attract a certain clientele with this third piece. The third piece is personal development and personal growth. So are you stuck in a job that you don't like? Or there's some piece of your life that you're just not happy with that doesn't have anything to do with sobriety and running. And that's, just maybe it's a spiritual thing. Maybe it's, I don't know what it is, but for example, my thing is going to be, actually, I haven't decided yet, but it's not really a secret that I'm trying to leave my teaching job. And so for this next year, I'm leaning heavily towards teaching online next year and getting out of the classroom, which is going to free up hours and hours and hours out of my day. because I want to launch Triple R retreats, which is going to be awesome. So for me, part 3 in my personal development is, what do I need to do to start hosting these retreats? I probably have to have some sort of a license or a liability thing. There's another gal in the group, Margaret Ward. She leads, I think it's Recovery Run Adventures. And all of her recovery runs are international. I don't know where she goes. She goes to Europe, she goes to Paris and Rome and all these extravagant places. So my idea for the retreats is to keep it in the US. I guess I'm not the world's biggest traveler. I think my passport expired like 4 years ago. I never go anywhere. I hardly ever leave California. I'm not going to lie. But with these retreats, I really want to get people together, like maybe in, let's just say April, let's go to Arizona because we want to get away from the cold. We're going to hike, we're going to do yoga, we're going to run, we're going to have somebody cater this thing, and we're just going to hang out together for 4 days. And it's going to be legendary, right? Doesn't that sound fun? I mean, you guys are staring at me. I'm really excited about this. That's the next thing that I have for Recovery Roadrunners is the retreats. So that's my big goal for 2022 is to host 1 or 2 retreats. And that's my personal development issue that I'm going to be working on in the next 8 weeks. I'm going to focus and dedicate my time. I don't know if it's going to be 30 minutes a day or an hour a day, but I'm going to document and journal and investigate, and I'm going to get ready for these retreats. So mark my words, whoever's listening to this, if I don't have a retreat in 2022, slap me in the face. Because it's really just been on my heart and on my mind. So back to the challenge. It's for anybody and everybody who's just wanting to have the best year of your life. Like, if you're sick and tired of too many day ones, you really need help getting sober, join us, because there's people who are going to be on day 1. There's people who are going to be on year 5. I mean, the experience is all over the place. So we are there to support you with your sobriety, with your running, or whatever fitness challenge you have, and also with your personal development. So you're going to declare what your physical fitness challenge is, what your personal development challenge is, and I'm going to check on you. Don't think that I won't. I'm going to call you and text you, and you're going to be submitting photos and showing me your documentation. And I'm going to be like, okay, what are you working on this week? Show me. I want to see what you're working on, because it's not going to just fly under the radar and be like, oh, she's not checking. She's checking.
She does. I sent one in and a picture and said, no, I did run. And she said, Jeff, you have a full head of hair in this picture. I don't buy it. So, she does do her homework. What, Amber, for the person that says, you know what, this sounds great, I'm interested, I'm going to check it out, but all I know is I need to get into shape. I don't know what my goals are. How do I, is there help in establishing goals? I don't know what I should be doing, what I can do.
Well, that's what we're going to talk about. And I don't want this to seem overwhelming and complicated, because this is meant to be fun. This is not meant to be stressful in any way at all. So it might sound like a lot, but whatever you want to put into this is what you're going to get out. And I know there's a lot of growth mindset people in this group who are like, hey, I'm sober. I've been running a lot, and what's next for me, right? I need something else in my life now. I need to change careers or to get away from this person. I don't know what it is. But that's where the group comes in. We're going to meet on Zoom, and we're going to be a sounding board for each other. So if you don't know what your goals are, tell us and let us help you. We'll ask you questions. We'll give you something to think about. You can do some journaling and some meditating on it, and come back to us and say, hey, I thought maybe I'll sign up for my first 5K. And for your personal development, it does not have to be changing a career or something huge or drastic. It could be, maybe you want to read a chapter every night and start a new reading habit. Maybe you've always wanted to journal every day, but you've never been in the habit. Well, that's going to be your thing. You're going to journal every day. Maybe what was another thing? Oh, meditation is a big one. Everybody always says they want to meditate, but then they never do, right? Well, here's your chance. Start a new meditation practice, and ask the group what they do. I mean, there's probably tons of advice within the group. So that's what the weekly Zoom calls are going to be for questions and answers, bouncing ideas off each other, inspiring each other in all of the different areas and topics.
Caren, I think so many people especially in recovery, because that's probably where my familiarity is, but I'm the only one that thinks this way. I'm the only one that has these feelings. I'm the only one. And then we get into it. And when we open up and actually tell people those things, it's amazing how many hands suddenly shoot up in the air, and you hear the words, which are the two greatest words in my recovery was me and too. When I heard someone say, yeah, me too, that was it. Let's just have some fun on a Thursday night. What was your I'm the only one on this running journey that you found out that you weren't alone, that you thought you were the only one? Was there anything in particular?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think the reality is I think I knew I wasn't alone. Sometimes what would catch me was my pride. And so there were times when I didn't speak up in saying, hey, I'm struggling with this, until I absolutely couldn't handle it anymore. One thing that I found really helpful in this group was I was dealing with really bad side stitches, and I felt like something was wrong, because I'm like, am I broken? I've been working out. I don't understand why this is an issue. And so I posted in the group, and I was like, so I've been getting these side stitches and these pains in the upper right quadrant. And I really don't understand why this is happening. And that was a Me Too moment, when all these people are like, oh yeah, I find when I drink water, if I'm really hydrated, they're not as bad, or they don't happen. Or even if I eat or drink, they seem to be worse. Or if I have a lot of sugar. And Amber actually provided me with some stretches to do, to kind of open up the diaphragm in the chest area. Because I think some of the issue that I was having was I would just get so tense because I was so darn uncomfortable. It was not fun starting out. And so, that was probably one of my first Me Too's in my running journey. And in terms of my recovery, just the struggle of getting sober. And I was so confused. I felt like I was going through a breakup, and which was mind boggling to me, because I'm like, why do I feel like I'm going through a breakup? It was the crazy ex that I knew was toxic and unhealthy, but I just, for whatever reason, found so much comfort in it. And when I started talking about that, and I made that analogy and saying, I feel like I'm going through a breakup, that was another big Me Too in my recovery, which really aided in me talking more, because like you had said, it's not until you start talking about it that you find out that other people are struggling with the same things.
What was, what specifically has made running help your recovery? What has it done for your recovery? Or was your recovery already there, or how does that all tie in for you?
I've said in the group a couple of different times, running became my drink. And so I found that I needed to substitute my drinking with something healthier and more productive. Because when I was drinking, I was just sloth mode. I felt like all the time. And I was unmotivated. I really, I wanted to be present and alert and just on the ball, and I wasn't. And so what drinking did, or I guess what running did, was it replaced my drinking. And it became a confidence builder, I think, was the big thing. If I can quit drinking, and if I can be sober, even at that time for a short period of time, then certainly I can do other hard things. And so running really fueled that challenge of what else can I do? If I'm not going to drink, where can I then put that energy and better myself? And so running has become my drink, and it's helped my mental state. I ruminate a lot, and I think a lot, and I go over the same thing over and over and over again. And running just provided me the opportunity to quit sitting and stewing and to get out and allow for me to get some fresh air. If I'm able to go outside, get some fresh air, but do something productive with my body while thinking about it. And even at a meditative state, at times while I'm in the zone, even at times processing and coming to a resolve and just letting go of that emotion. Because more oftentimes than not, I would just get stuck in that emotion, and the emotion would become the focus, and hence, the alcohol cravings. But if I could get out and get running and get moving, then, it took care of that. It distracted me from the thought of drinking, and it put that energy elsewhere.
It's a huge point that you just mentioned. Part of when we have such a compulsion, that I put all this compulsion into drinking and all this, well, take away the alcohol, the compulsion still needs to go somewhere. And I guess that's why some people, you hear people, they become obsessed with porn or shopping or food or whatever the thing, all these, another avenue, because that need to compulse, if that's even a word, is still there. So it's not that, oh, I got rid of alcohol and now everything is fine. I'm hearing more and more that we need to replace it with something. Mm-hmm. Or we're just sitting there with a huge void in our life. And, hopefully we make, like you are, the right choices, replace it with something that's going to benefit us. Mm-hmm. But I think people just, think recovery or sobriety is taking alcohol out of our life. Well, okay, that's part one.
Right.
But now what do we got to put something, you got to fill that with something. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a key. Amber, did you run into that? Because you hear so many people, I hear so many people in the CrossFit fanatics that are just fitness. I've heard that a huge percentage or a high percentage are people in recovery because they filled the void that taking alcohol away with fitness.
Yeah, it's really, really common. And I know a lot of marathoners and ultra marathoners are in recovery. It's just so common. You can search for other groups on Facebook and you'll see ultra runner recoveries or whatever. But yeah, after you get sober, then suddenly you have all of this free time and you're asking yourself, well, now what am I going to do? A lot of people turn, and then they think, I need to get in shape. I need to turn my life around and get in shape. So they start walking, or they start doing yoga, or they start running or lifting weights. And it's so natural to just want to turn your whole entire life around after you get sober. And it's because you have so much time and energy at your disposal. Yeah, but
go ahead.
I have this sitting right here, Jeff.
I printed one up.
To mention this.
I printed mine up.
You asked me earlier about habits and how you can set goals that are not too huge and how you can start new habits. Well, my friend Margaret Ward reminded me of this nifty little handout here. I actually use this. If you look closely, it's the month with the dates plugged in. So what you can use this for is staying sober. So every day that you stay sober, you get to color in a box. Or you could print out two, use one for staying sober, use the other one for running. Every day that you run or exercise, you color in the box. And we were talking about this, Jeff. You can even color in your recovery days because those count too. It's all part of the plan. And, I did this in 2018 when I was first trying to get sober. I printed one of these out and I did blue for the days that I was successful. And then I did red for the days that I drank. And I wish that I still had it, but I swear to you, it was like probably 90 or 95% blue. I was mostly sober that year, but there were certain days and weeks where I wasn't. I wish I had that. That would be so priceless to look back on. But I've used this in the past and it has been awesome to see. I just post it right there on my wall and I color it in every day. And it's just a great visual to keep you going. Another thing.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say what I think really is important is the coloring in of the failures. The red. Two things. One, you're showing up even though you failed to perform a task, even though it's not one you enjoy, which is coloring in the red. But the red, whether it's why did I not run today? If I just ignore it and just leave it blank, I don't have a chance to fix it. If I drank that day, if I just don't color in and don't even look at the chart, I'm not giving my chance to myself a chance to learn why did I drink yesterday? Why didn't I run yesterday? Because if I can come up with the why, then I have a chance at preventing it from happening again. I didn't do this. I did do that. I stopped here. I didn't do this. Whatever I can, by putting in the red, that's an opportunity to the failures are important for us to learn.
Yes, absolutely. Like I said, I tried to get sober for at least 3 years before it stuck. So for everybody who's listening, who is like, gosh, I just can't get my shit together. Why can't I do this? Like, she's 1.5 years sober. Why can't I do that? Well, first of all, you can, because I was the world's biggest drinker. I can't even tell you how much I was drinking every day. It was bottles and bottles of wine and mixed drinks and everything. And I was still running the next day. But you can do it. It's just all, stumbles and slip ups are all part of the path. Everybody goes through it. Every time that you drink again and then you beat yourself up, well, yeah, you learn something though. Like you said, like what made me drink, you're learning with each and every slip up, and you're going to go longer, before the next slip up. And then eventually there will come a day when it's like, click, I figured it out. You've had enough day ones. Somebody said something to you. You found a new program that works for you. You found a book or a podcast or some sort of a inspiration, and your brain goes, whoop. And then suddenly it's like, in your heart, you will never drink again. And you just got to keep going. Just keep going, because everybody can do it. And it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying everybody can do it. You just got to keep trying.
Yes.
I know this starts January 1, but where, how do they get more information about what the program is, what it entails, what's involved, all that good stuff? How do they find that info?
Well, they can email me at recoveryroadrunners@gmail.com, or they can find us on Facebook. The free group is Recovery Roadrunners on Facebook. Or they can look me up on Facebook. I'm Amber Cano, Cano. So yeah, just join the group and check it out and see what it's all about. And you'll see the post there for the New Year's Challenge, which starts on the 1st. And if people don't come across this podcast until a couple weeks in, they're welcome to start late. It doesn't matter, because I think, this is going to be an ongoing thing. After this 8-week challenge ends, I'll probably launch the next one. So just join us whenever you can.
The dauntingness, and I like picking on Caren here. She's the new one. Just like sobriety, you're going to quit forever. That forever is a number that is daunting. You're going to, can you quit for forever? I don't know if I can. Can you quit for 5 minutes? Well, yeah, sure. I can not drink for 5 minutes. Can you quit for 5 years? Boy, that's pretty long. Could you quit for 10 minutes? Yeah. Well, we're narrowing it down. So we're finding a realistic, and I think that's the key for my exercise too, is my goal is not drinking forever. Well, that's pretty daunting. Well, could you do something much less? Well, yeah, I could do that. Okay, well, let's find that sweet spot. And I think like this course this workshop is an 8-week deal. That's appealing to me because that's more doable than you're committing to running 20 miles a day for the rest of your life. That almost sounds too much to, I don't believe it. I don't believe I'll ever do that. But an 8-week thing, yeah, I've been through enough football camps that I survived doing 8 weeks, and I was pretty happy when I came out of them. But that's doable. And I think the same thing with sobriety. Can you get through to, can you just not drink for an hour? Yeah, I could do that. I could, well, okay, let's just start there.
Yeah. I just hear what is that? Forever. Like,
yeah. There's a lot of syllables in forever.
Not forever.
When do I get when do I get I can hold my breath for 20 seconds, but that's not too hard because I know that there's an ending and I'll be able to take a huge breath afterwards.
Right.
Holding it forever is pretty daunting.
Yeah. And what matters is the present moment, right? We don't have a crystal ball. And I'm not going to borrow trouble by trying to look into the future. Am I going to relapse? Am I not going to relapse? I choose to not look at that. And I really like your approach on that. I can commit to not drinking right now. I've got a plan set up in the event I really start to struggle, which everybody does. And which is fine. There's no shame in that. So I hope people hear that. If you are struggling, that's okay. We've all been there. And so have a plan for in the event you start to struggle. But for now, just focus on the moment. And I really like what you had to say in regards to that, because that makes a huge difference. I'm not going to borrow trouble.
Well, I want to do, while I'm strong today and motivated, I want to do what I can now.
Right.
Because tomorrow I might need it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and tomorrow I might not be in the mood to do what it takes. So while I'm in the mood to do what it takes, let's give myself a fighting chance tomorrow.
Right.
So do what I can, and you're living that. It's the same thing as I don't fear that I'm going to drink tonight. Couldn't tell you what tomorrow's going to bring. So I'm going to do what I can tonight, insurance.
Right.
So that I am strong enough to get through tomorrow if that's the day that it hits.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think it's going to hit the fan. And when it hits the fan, yeah, there you go. That was the first.
You guys,
go ahead.
No, tell them.
Well, the first book I ever read, myself cover to cover, which it's not, was The Carrot Seed, and I had a dream. I was telling Amber I had a dream about this, and I was woke up going, I remember this book, and I started Googling about this kid that no one said it would grow, and everyone. Now you'll never make it. You'll never run a marathon. Well, for him, it was about growing a carrot seed, and no one believed, but he stuck with it, and then it finally paid off. And I Googled, and I found this book that came to me in a dream. It was a reality. It was a book that I read, and it was a great message. So it was right when Amber and I were talking about our goals for next year, and I was ordering one for myself when I found it, and it's like 60th edition. So I was, I'm 57. I was probably 5, 6. I don't know when I first book ever read. So I ordered 2, and I sent one to Amber just because the message is pretty, and she's got some little kids, so maybe who knows.
Oh, we're going to read this book every night, but he sent me this for Christmas, you guys, and I got it in the mail and I read it, and it's just the cutest story. Like he said, the little boy, he plants the seed and everybody tells him it's not going to grow. It's not going to grow, but he doesn't give up. He keeps watering it. And then at the end of the book, he's got this ginormous carrot. And it's like the lesson of this book can apply to running, to sobriety, to life, right? Because how many people have told you, like, well, you can't get sober. Like, why would you want to do that? You can't run a marathon. Why would you want to do that? You can't do this. You can't do that. I have people telling me, you can't quit your teaching job. You can't start a new business. Why would you want to do that? Everything is great. And, people are just telling me, you can't do this. You can't do this. And then Jeff sends me this book and I'm like, you know what? Watch me. Watch me.
I mean, the thing is, he's the only one that believed in
you.
The only one that believed in him was him.
Yes.
And that's hard to do sometimes, but
I know. But the message of that book, you can apply it to running and sobriety and everything. And it's just the best little book ever. So thank you for sending it to me, Jeff.
My pleasure.
You guys should buy this book.
It's all of about 8 sentences, but
you know what? If you join Recovery Roadrunners, you won't meet one person that tells you you can't. Everybody will tell you you can.
Yeah.
That, why? Because everyone in that group did. I was going to say they canned past tense, but they proved to themselves that they can. Everyone in that group is probably someone that overcame, especially if they're in recovery. Yeah. They defied the odds, and it's with each other, the support, that I have a chance. Yeah. It's the Planet Fitness thing. If I know that other people are counting on me as much as I'm counting on them, I'll show up. Yep. And that's how we get it.
I've said this before, but I think recovery runners are some of the most badass, hardest people out there. People who got sober and people who can run. Like, there's nothing we can't do, right, guys?
Yeah.
I'm such a cheese ball, but I
love it.
It's great.
It's true.
Yep.
All right. Well, look, both of you stay on, and we will thank you both for being here. Caren, welcome to Getting Back to Zero. Amber, you've been here a couple times, and you will be back again. Caren, I'd love to have you on sometime just to hear your full story. But that would be great. And Saturday morning, obviously, we normally have a show, but it is New Year's Day. I don't know, maybe I'll hop on just to see, look at everyone's faces and see some smiles on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, because a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have done that. That would have been, I would have had, this thing would have been down over the eyes instead.
But, 99% of the world is going to be so hungover on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
Not us.
No, you're right. You're right. All right, stay on. Thanks, everyone.
Sober,
have a great
Thanks for having us, Jeff.
Yes.
Good having you, and great way to end 2021 for Getting Back to Zero.
Yeah.
So,
thank you so much.
You're both too young. I love this theme music from a show from you don't remember this, Caren. You're too young, but this is from the Happy Days era, a show called Welcome Back, Kotter. It was John Travolta's first stardom Hollywood role. Welcome Back, Kotter, and it was just takes me back. Welcome back to sobriety, where we're supposed to be, I guess. So, anyways, I'm a little bit of a football too, Amber. All right, everyone, take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.